Hello, fellow gamers! We are diving back into the massive sea of games with part 4 of my look at the absolute best Steam Next Fest demos. Let's dive in. WheelMates, a brilliant cooperative adventure that immediately channels the nostalgic charm of classic RC racers like Revolt, but cleverly fuses it with the mandatory teamwork of It Takes Two. You and a friend control tiny remote-controlled cars, navigating the giant, oversized house of a missing scientist. Everyday household objects become massive obstacles. You'll be making death-defying leaps off bookshelves, toppling kitchen objects to clear pathways, and modifying your vehicles with grappling hooks and magnet wheels. The puzzle solving requires genuine synchronization, meaning it's a brilliant couch co-op experience. If you miss the golden era of miniature arcade racers, but want a modern, puzzle-focused spin, this demo is a must-try. Drill deep. If you love incremental games but always wish they had a darker, more psychological edge, this one needs to be on your radar. It pitches itself as a cozy, coal-punk idle clicker focused on digging the world's deepest hole. But that relaxing, satisfying loop of upgrading your drills and watching the numbers go up is a brilliant trap. As you pierce deeper into the earth, the tone shifts dramatically. What starts as a standard industrial operation spirals into a psychological descent into madness. You'll uncover haunted mines, surreal subterranean secrets, and eventually end up in places you absolutely shouldn't be. It's got that perfect just 5 more minutes hook, but it marries it to a genuinely compelling, eerie mystery. Grim Trials. Prove your worth in the afterlife's most elite training ground. This game brilliantly mashes a lightning-fast, hack-and-blast action roguelite with a stylish, Persona-esque academy sim. You play as an aspiring Grim Reaper at the academy, slicing through intense combat challenges to hone your skills. But the real magic happens between the trials. You'll be exploring the campus, learning from eccentric mentors, and building relationships with your fellow Reapers. As you bond, you'll slowly piece together the forgotten secrets of your past life and the love you left behind before your death. It's snappy, beautifully stylized, and perfectly balances adrenaline-pumping combat with a heartfelt narrative. Lord of Undead. If you're tired of playing the righteous hero and want to embrace your inner villain, Lord of Undead lets you do exactly that. This grim sandbox RPG puts you in the boots of an ancient, resurrected Dark Lord out for pure vengeance. Your ultimate goal? Destroy the sprawling human castle on the hill. To do that, you'll explore a vast open world, harvest the souls of pathetic mortals, and raise a massive army of skeletons, zombies, and wraiths. It brilliantly combines third-person action RPG combat with survival-style base building. Before you build your fortress, you actually place pylons of darkness to literally desecrate and corrupt the landscape, buffing your undead minions. Between crafting powerful gear, managing your base, and leading full-scale raids on human settlements, it's an incredibly satisfying power trip. Spaceborn Awakening. If you love the frantic, dopamine-fueled action of Vampire Survivors, but want a deep narrative and sci-fi aesthetic, look no further. This narrative-driven roguelite bullet heaven drops you into the cockpit of a legendary space crew answering a mysterious distress signal. From there, it's pure, chaotic survival as you eliminate thousands of corrupted alien hordes under the command of the villainous Voss Praetor. The gameplay is fast and satisfying, tasking you with combining devastating weapon setups to turn your ship into a floating weapon of mass destruction. What sets it apart is how it weaves its story into the roguelite loop. Every run brings you closer to awakening your crew's true potential and deciding the fate of the universe. It's snappy, visually stunning, and an absolute blast to play. Welcome to Elderfield delivers a bizarre concept. It's a warm farming RPG smashed together with cosmic psychological horror, featuring unsettling hand-drawn art and a melancholic, dark, lo-fi soundtrack. It perfectly captures a dreamlike, eerie atmosphere. You spend your days managing a farm, fishing, cooking, and decorating your home, while also interacting with and even romancing the strange local townspeople. But underneath the rural charm lies a dark underbelly. You'll investigate chilling mysteries, seek out ancient old gods, and venture into the woods to fight terrifying, twisted creatures. It captures that addictive Stardew Valley gameplay, but infuses it with a deep sense of dread where you can literally die in your sleep. It is incredibly unique, atmospheric, and highly compelling. Survivor's Guild takes the wildly addictive, solo-dominated Bullet Heaven formula and brilliantly solves the biggest request fans have had for years. It brings full, up to 4-player online co-op to the table. Instead of just running around a single endless arena, you and your squad battle across structured levels filled with traps, unique side quests, and challenging attack pattern-heavy bosses waiting at the finish line. The game leans heavily into team synergy. You can coordinate your character selections, share strategy, and actively revive fallen comrades to keep the run alive. With a great roster of unlockable characters, satisfying weapon evolutions, and the pure joy of crafting broken builds alongside your friends, it transforms a familiar genre into the ultimate multiplayer chaotic party game. Washington Prime delivers a brilliant retro action that feels like a cross between Max Payne and classic 90s action thrillers. You step into the shoes of Blake Kincaid, a former special agent turned real estate agent who gets violently dragged back into the game to save a friend. Set over the course of one long, chaotic night in downtown Washington, D.C. during October 1998, you'll be fighting your way through sprawling, rain-slicked office buildings. The combat is fast, kinetic, and deeply satisfying, capturing that raw, tactical gunplay of the late 90s era. Between the heavy, atmospheric synth track, the punchy gunfights, and a gripping corporate conspiracy narrative, it perfectly nails the gritty, nostalgic aesthetic. If you love tense, narrative-driven shooters with tons of style, you definitely need to download this demo. Bills Must Be Paid is a short, active, incremental game that captures the soul-crushing reality of adulthood and turns it into pure, arcade-style comedy. The premise is as simple as it is relatable. You are completely broke, your mailbox is overflowing, and the bills must be paid. Instead of waiting around for passive income, you have to actively grab a hammer and smash open piggy banks to hoard cash as fast as humanly possible. The core gameplay is incredibly punchy. You grab money, buy upgrades to break banks faster, automate your income, and race against the clock to finally become debt-free. It's got a great, fast-paced rhythm that completely strips away the bloat often found in the genre, offering a satisfying, bite-sized burst of dopamine. It's funny, addictive, and absolutely worth a quick playthrough. Chain of Command takes the familiar top-down arena shooter roguelike and injects it with a brilliant tactical twist. Instead of controlling a single hero, you navigate a snake-like chain of fighters that trail behind you and attack automatically. The strategy is incredibly deep. You choose a commander to lead the charge, and then carefully recruit different types of fighters to build your party's tail, positioning them strategically to maximize their unique firing arcs and weapon types. It creates an awesome dynamic where managing your physical movement and positioning is just as important as building high synergy stat combinations to crush the invading demon armies. The screen fills up with spectacular particle effects, and trying to keep your massive squad safe from bullet hell while dealing massive damage is incredibly satisfying. Cohen 1939 is a brutal, fast-paced, top-down action shooter that wears its gritty gangster influences proudly on its sleeve. If you love the period atmosphere of Peaky Blinders, mixed with the visceral, one-hit kill lethality of Hotline Miami, this is an absolute must-play. You play as a grieving widow whose husband was murdered, sending you on a relentless, blood-soaked quest for revenge through the criminal underworld of Birmingham. The combat is lightning fast and incredibly punishing. You'll clear rooms using a mix of period-accurate firearms and brutal melee weapons, where a single mistake means starting over. With its striking noir art style, heavy atmosphere, and an incredibly punchy soundtrack that gets your heart pumping, it delivers an intoxicating rush of adrenaline. We Were Here Tomorrow is the next entry in the legendary asymmetrical puzzle series, and it completely refines the co-op formula that made its predecessors so iconic. You and a partner are taken to a mysterious facility where you are immediately separated. Just like before, you can't see each other's screens. Your only lifeline is a walkie-talkie and your ability to describe what you see with perfect clarity. The environmental puzzles are brilliant, forcing one player to guide the other through deadly traps, shifting rooms, and complex mechanisms. The stakes feel higher than ever as you slowly uncover dark secrets that will literally shape the fate of tomorrow. If you love tense, brain-melting teamwork where communication is everything, you and a friend need to download this immediately. Golden Swirl is a magnificent dark fantasy title that says goodbye to traditional turn-based card battles and introduces a revolutionary mix of action and strategy. Imagine the strategic deck-building depth of Slay the Spire smashed together with responsive dodging of Hades, and you'll begin to see why this stands out. Instead of waiting your turn, you are managing your hand in semi-real time while utilizing tactical movement to actively dodge fierce, bullet hell-style boss attacks. It features incredibly striking dark fantasy art, a heavy gothic metal soundtrack, and fully voiced heroes. Between fine-tuning your custom deck, gathering game-changing runes, and navigating a unique psychological depravity system that actively alters your runs, it is a brilliant hybrid that will push your multitasking skills to their absolute limit. Echo Weaver is an incredibly clever Metroidvania that completely turns the traditional progression system on its head. Instead of unlocking double jumps or grappling hooks to reach new areas, your only upgrades are the secrets and knowledge you accumulate with every run. You play as the Last Weaver, exploring a beautiful but ruined sci-fi world trapped in a strict, fading time loop. Here, time is your ultimate currency. You actively gather pickups to extend the clock, or sacrifice it to unlock gates, heal, and trade. The game hands you your full mechanical toolkit right from the start. You simply have to use your wits, learn the layout, and exploit environmental anomalies to break the cycle. If you loved the knowledge-driven exploration of Outer Wilds mixed with polished 2D precision platforming, this game is absolutely worth mastering. Grain Rot is a brilliant, terrifying genre mashup that combines intense extraction mechanics with base-building elements. Set in a scorched, post-apocalyptic wasteland where everything is actively burning, you and your friends must descend into shifting, procedurally generated underground ruins. Your objective is simple but incredibly tense. Rip out furniture, scavenge for rare resources, and grab as much loot as possible before the horrific corrupted close in on your position. The atmosphere is deeply oppressive, and the constant threat of losing your loot keeps the tension incredibly high. If you manage to make it back alive, you use your hard-earned materials to build and fortify your outpost, unlocking better gear and upgrades to give you a fighting chance on the next run. It's stressful, addictive, and an absolute blast with a squad. Brigador Killers delivers a massive, hyper-violent step forward for the franchise, morphing from the original's pure mech mayhem into an incredibly intense, top-down, isometric insurgent simulator. Instead of just piloting massive, stompy robots, you now spend a significant amount of time hitting the pavement on foot as an operative of Team Anchor, bringing an amoral guerrilla war directly to the corporate executives of Mar Naso. The gameplay is pure mayhem. You can sneak or blast through highly detailed, fully destructible environments, hijack civilian and military vehicles on the fly, and slowly build up a terrifying private arsenal of over 30 weapons. It perfectly nails a gritty 80s sci-fi aesthetic inspired by classics like Syndicate and Crusader, No Remorse, with a pulsating darkwave soundtrack by Makeup and Vanity Set. It's fast, punishing, and lets you experience the absolute joy of becoming a one-man army against oppressive corporate overlords. Sojourn Past is an incredibly striking, emotionally resonant action-adventure that fuses melancholic, narrative-driven exploration with intense combat. It tells a poignant story about overcoming loss, setting you loose in an intricately connected, handcrafted world overflowing with secrets and hidden routes. The standout feature here is how it takes inspiration from the bullet hell genre, requiring you to carefully dash, dodge, and aggressively weave through dazzling patterns of incoming enemy fire. To survive these demanding, skill-based boss duels, you'll uncover hidden artifacts and master unique mobility tools, like a satisfying teleportation dagger that lets you bypass enemy lines, escape danger, or blink across traps to unlock otherwise inaccessible paths. Coupled with stunning pixel art and a gorgeous, atmospheric piano soundtrack that mimics the heavy mechanics of the instrument, it stands out as an incredibly polished, deeply artistic adventure. Wilderings: The Lost Spring stands out as a vibrant, emotionally charged experience that merges action-packed creature collecting with a dynamic, open-world roguelite. Crafted by Harrowbeat Studios, the team behind Endling, this title carries a strong environmental pulse that makes every run feel profoundly meaningful. As the last survivor of your tribe, your mission is to venture into corrupted biomes to heal a poisoned land. The core gameplay loop blends Souls-light third-person combat with Metroidvania-style traversal tools tools like gliders, grappling hooks, and wall running. As you cleanse the environment and reactivate long dormant springs, you'll rescue and befriend the Hantu, mystical native creatures that join your side, granting unique elemental abilities, counters, and passive bonuses to completely alter your build. Between runs, you retreat to a fully customizable skyship floating high above the clouds to plant rare flora for permanent buffs and care for your growing roster of companion creatures. It is an exceptionally polished adventure that perfectly balances action with heartwarming sanctuary building. Zwaard delivers an incredibly polished, top-down 2D action adventure that echoes the atmospheric pixel artistry of Hyper Light Drifter and the structured exploration of classic Zelda games. Set a century after a devastating biological outbreak, you play as a lone adventurer navigating a shattered post-apocalyptic landscape where remnants of dangerous fauna have been heavily corrupted and infected by mysterious, long-dormant technology. The true crown jewel of the game is its deep, highly granular sword crafting system. Instead of simply buying stat upgrades, you actively explore the vast open world to scavenge individual components, such as hilts, guards, pommels, and blades from the ruins of civilization. Every single part you slot onto your weapon alters its physical appearance, provides distinct combat stats, and introduces entirely unique swinging animations. Combined with a fluid, precision-based tactical combat requiring perfectly timed dodges and strikes, it offers a deeply satisfying, hyper-customizable adventure for anyone who loves high-stakes melee gameplay. Guncrypt stands out as a brilliantly inventive, action-packed roguelite dungeon crawler that swaps out traditional card-based deck building for an entirely physical mechanic, magazine deck building. Developed by the legendary team at Half-Brick Studios, it puts a wildly creative spin on the bullet heaven genre. Instead of looking for better weapons, your entire build relies on the exact sequence of your ammunition. You collect over 60 bullet types, ranging from lightning and poison slugs to corrosive rounds and piercing beams, and manually load them into your cylinder. Because your gun fires them in the exact order they are stacked, sequencing is everything. Landing a shield breaker round right before an explosive payload completely changes the tide of battle. Between rooms, you'll constantly rearrange your magazine, fuse bullets together for devastating chain reactions, and collect over 80 relics. Die Deep. Developed by Pinix Games, this 2D Souls-like action game aggressively trims away all the fat. There are no maze maps to get lost in, no block-pushing puzzles, and absolutely zero filler. The game's heart beats entirely for pure combat. Drawing inspiration from the relentless intensity of Hollow Knight's Coliseum of Fools, you are thrust into an automatically shifting arena deep within an abyss. The game forces you into a state of hyper-focus. Enemy attacks light up the floor, requiring pixel-perfect positioning, observation, and timing. Greed is your absolute worst enemy here. Overcommitting to one extra strike will instantly cost you the run. You can take on the depraved monsters of the abyss using characters with completely different playstyles, like Gore, a one-eyed warrior, or Zeta, a dual-blade rogue. As you clear waves, you patch yourself up with random upgrades and powerful charms to build out your style before going toe-to-toe with colossal bosses. 5 More Minutes is a heartwarming, incredibly creative roguelike deck builder that acts as a nostalgic love letter to our favorite childhood pastime. It perfectly captures that universal feeling of begging your parents for just 5 more minutes of screen time before bed. Instead of exploring a standard fantasy dungeon, you traverse video game worlds that pay homage to retro classics. The core hook is brilliant. You choose between 3 unique starting genres, such as platformer, RPG, or retro shooters, and draft cards that represent classic gameplay mechanics like double jumps, health potions, or strafing runs. As your run progresses, you can smash these genres together to create unstoppable cross-genre combos. Boasting a charming pixel art style and a warm, melancholic soundtrack, it serves as a wonderful, emotional tribute to how video games act as our ultimate comfort and emotional support growing up. BPM Bitcrushed is a highly stylish evolution of the rhythm shooter subgenre, shifting the perspective from the original BPM, bullets per minute's first-person view, into a glorious, retro-inspired top-down pixel art dungeon crawler. Developed by Awe Interactive, it combines the depth of Enter the Gungeon with the strict, rewarding cadence of a music game. The core gameplay hook turns destruction into an art form. Every single shot, jump, reload, and dodge must be executed in perfect synchronization with the backing track. Your enemies don't just wander around randomly, they move and swarm in unison, telegraphing their most devastating bullet hell attacks beats before impact. The ultimate game changer here is the custom music support, which lets you import your own local audio tracks. The engine dynamically maps the procedural layout, item distributions, and enemy aggressiveness to the rhythmic pulse of whatever song you throw at it. Mexican Ninja is a high-octane, incredibly stylish roguelike beat-em-up developed by Madbricks that pulses with pure arcade energy. The game drops you right into the neon-drenched streets of Nuevo Tokyo, a wild, over-the-top metropolis born from a collision of cultures where the cartel and the Yakuza have joined forces to form a ruthless, unified syndicate known as the Narcuzas. To dismantle this criminal empire, you'll need to master a lightning-fast combat system that rewards precise movement and punishing combos. The true star of the show is the ridiculous arsenal of Mexican jutsus and spirit powers you can unlock by training with El Mero Mero Sensei, alongside a deeply customizable Way of the Donkey skill tree to fine-tune your builds on every run. Brimming with crude humor, vibrant comic book aesthetics, and unapologetic swagger, it's a brilliant, action-packed brawler that demands you fight con huevos. Kusan, City of Wolves is a hyper-violent, top-down shooter that injects a massive dose of neon noir graphic novel style into the adrenaline-pumping formula of Hotline Miami. Developed by Circle from Dot, it drops you right into the middle of a gritty, rain-soaked Asian port city ruled entirely by corruption. You play as Jin, a veteran ex-soldier turned gun for hire on a desperate mission to protect Haru, a young girl who has been transformed into a walking weapon of mass destruction by a city-grade atomic device. The gameplay is hardcore, operating on a razor-thin margin where a single tactical error or missed shot means instant death. To survive across 54 meticulously handcrafted stages, you have to find your flow state, seamlessly chaining together precise firearm kills and devastating melee strikes with your high-tech prosthetic war hand and the quantum blade. As you clear out rooms and drop bosses, you gather bolts to customize your lethal loadout to match your playstyle. Visually driven by striking pixel art and dynamic comic book panel cutscenes, the whole bloody performance is backed by a spectacular, driving hip-hop soundtrack by Korean heavyweight Loptimist. What an absolute killer lineup of games this was. If you want to keep discovering hidden gems like these, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a breakdown. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these titles is going straight to the top of your wish list. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.